Hey, so today I'm going to show you something that it took me a while to learn, and I am surprised there's actually no one in the world talks about this either. Before I go into the video, if you find this video and you are new to my channel, welcome. I always talk about health. My channel is always about health. There are some DIY stuff, but mainly it's about health. A little short story. It took me about 10 years to get to this stage, and because of knowing, I can actually tell you that I am very healthy now. Growing up was not easy because a lot of things that I guess my body was a lot different than a lot of people. And you will hear from me first as well that remember this, and remember this video, that if you grew up and you are actually healthy and things are actually attacking you, then that means it's the environment itself. It is not you. Okay? Please remember that important tip or clue, because no one going to tell you that one. No one going to say that the environment itself, it's actually hurting you. Not you. Okay? So I was actually really healthy when I was growing up, but the environment was actually hurting me. And actually, believe it or not, this video is about water. And you can see it all here. I left it here for examples. And it's about water. Water can actually make you thirsty. Huh? Huh? Excuse me? What? Well, yes. Water. After drinking water, you can actually be more thirsty than you already are. Why is that? Kind of strange, right? That water is supposed to quench our thirst, but it actually made us more thirstier. Yes? It took me a long time to learn this lesson too. And that's where I come in. That's where I started to do my own research about what is done to our water. And because of that, I am a lot healthier now. I am a lot better now. And I can assure you, I can drink all type of water and will no longer feel that I am thirsty. And another thing too. Here's an important clue for you. And nobody in the world, no one in the world knows this one either. And I will say it on the video. If you drink your water and you feel more thirstier afterward, your thyroid gland is in trouble. Okay? Not in trouble, but kind of in trouble. It's alerting you. It's alerting you that you are being harmed. And what is it? Radiation. I always tell people, radiation plays the biggest role in the universe, and it plays with this one too, and it's also involved with water. Radiation, they just like water. Water and metal. Okay? Please remember that. Water and metal. That's all you have to remember. And here's an example. When a nuclear disaster, what do? They water down the reactor with what? Water. Well, there you go. Anyway, so now I got that out of the way and I gave you a little introduction. This video is about water. I always tell people, where does your water come from? That is very important. You need to know that. You need to learn about that. And I have my video of my water journey right here. Okay? I'll list it right here for you so you can learn from it. Now, it does for me, and if you are watching this video and you feel like, what? I just drank water and I still feel more thirsty. Or when you drink water and you go to sleep and when you wake up, you are more thirsty than you are. Or sometimes your thyroid gland blows up, meaning it blows up enough that you feel like you can't even breathe. Yes, I know someone is like that, and that's how I got into this thing. Now, and also too, it affects me a little bit, but it doesn't affect a lot because my thyroid gland, although my thyroid gland is in trouble, because I told, like I said earlier in the video, that it's actually making, because when I was young, I was actually a lot healthier than the other kids. I never got sick. But once the wireless world came into the picture, the wireless world, remember this, the wireless world is EMF. And it's not ghost, okay? It's EMF, electromagnetic field, okay? That's when my world opened, and that's when I started to learn what was hurting me. And because of that, I went to a 10-year journey. And because of that, I am a lot healthier. And I have never been healthier in my entire life. And it was, yes, it was a hard journey. Many of my videos, I actually talked about it. So that's how I learned a lot of things. Now, because of this water, because few people actually helped me with this learning, this thing. One, though, it was a plant. And it was this plant right here that actually taught me about water. Very important about water. In order to keep this plant alive, I have to know how to take care of it, sort of like a baby. And because of that, I was able to learn, I was able to understand it, and I was able to know how it takes its water. You can tell right there, okay? Just the root itself, it'll tell you, okay? Now, since we got that out of the way, let's talk about our water. Remember, where your water comes from is very important. For instance, we bought a lot of these jugs, okay? And we actually get them from Walmart, and we fill them. At Walmart, they're only 39 cents a gallon. So we filled a lot of them, okay? In these bottles. Every week, my grandma and I go and fill them up. And funny thing is, when I drink them, I get thirsty. Huh? How in the world that I drink this water and I get more thirsty than I already am? Huh? That doesn't make sense. I can drink this whole thing, which is about 3 gallons. I will still more thirsty. Then I thought, okay, let me experiment a little bit. I started to buy these cheap water. Funny thing is, these cheap water is actually more safer. I also drink from Poland Spring. We also buy them in big jugs and small jugs, because when I go to school, I usually take these. Okay? So I used to think that maybe there's a lot of salt in them, blah, 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 blah. Nope. A lot of people blame on salt. You have too much salt in your body, so that's why you're thirsty. Scratch that idea. Then people said, oh, well, maybe because you have a lot of sugar in you, you are thirsty. Nope. Scratch that idea. Then they said, oh, well, this is not it, but alcohol. Alcohol make people thirsty. Well, this is not alcohol, but let's pretend it's alcohol. Alcohol make people thirsty. Kind of, but I'll tell you that in a minute. Then they blame on coffee. Some people actually blame on coffee, and it makes them thirstier. Well, I got some good news for you, and I will teach you what is actually making you thirsty today. If you research into water, especially bottled water, where it comes from, you will find that they actually go into a UV. Okay, I marked this UV. Ultraviolet light. Yes. And I'll leave a picture right on the screen here for you, so you can see what UV light is. Another thing. Do not ever drink your water that is left out in the sun. Okay? Never. If it's left out in the sun, you needed to leave it for like about close to a week before you can actually drink it. What is it? UV and radiation attaching itself to that. It takes a long time for the sun to actually evaporate. Not sun, but the radiation from the sun. Okay? And if you want to learn about that, I have the video in my channel or right up here. Okay? Please don't remember that. I also, in those videos, I taught you how to protect it. Very simple. Take that, put some tin foil around it, okay, and wrap it up, and this will protect it from the sun. If you're in your car, remember, if you are in your car, put this on, okay? That will block the light. What is light? Photons. Positive and negative and neutral photons. That's what it is. Let's make it short. Photons. Positive, negative. And there's a neutral too. Neutral is actually gamma rays. And it will attach. It will try to attach itself to your water. So by doing this, you are blocking it. If you are in your car, remember, if you are in your car, leave your water somewhere that the light cannot attach itself to. There's still radiation, but light, it's not about light. It's the ultra V that is going to harm the water. And yes, this is about ultra V light. Ultra V light is the #1 culprit to all of these. Okay? Please remember that. That's how I get to learn this right here. We went to Walmart. We used to get them. And I could not understand why. There's a filling station. I'll put a picture right now in there for you. The filling station and the final process of this water is go through a UV light. And that's what causing me to keep drinking even more and more. It's the UV light. If you have a UV light in your water system, if you have a UV light in your house, disable it. Turn it off. Yes, it's doing you a favor, but you're doing your thyroid gland more harmful than you and the rest of the 7 billion people knows about this. Okay? UV lights. Remember that. So when I went to further research, this is into it as well. They actually took it and they put UV lights. I'll show you how to remove that. Same thing with Poland Spring. Since I cannot drink out of those, because in my other video, I talk about you have to leave into third. So that way the low radiation would leave. And that's what this is. I actually fill the water with this. I leave the bottle on the side. I fill them all in. I let it escape. And you can see right here. Condensation. Right there. Will be your evidence. See that? Right there. Water. Condensation. UV and radiation is the only way for the water to leave. So, what do? You leave it to third. I talk about this in my other video, which I'll link it up here. I talk about how if you put a fish in here, it can only grow to a certain size in an aquarium or in a fish tank because of the size of this. Well, UV, or in this case radiation, does the same thing. UV light is a form of radiation. And it's actually more harmful to your thyroid gland than you think. It is not the sun, but it's the UV light or the UV radiation, which later on it becomes a radiation. That's what harming people, and that's what giving people cancer. And that's why they said, if you go in the sun, you need to protect it, because that's what's giving you cancer. Well, guess what? It actually attaches itself into water, all the water, when it's out in the sun. And that's what causing people to have cancer. In this case, in this video, it's about causing people to be more thirstier. Look at that. I just made that. And look how much bubble there is. I'm going to take the camera in so I can actually show it to you. Okay? How much that there's more bubbles in there. And there's not a lot of water in there. I just made it up to there, you see. It hasn't even passed that line. Actually, it's just passed the line right there. See it? Right there. But now look how much in there. Okay? Even when you leave it to here, you can see. Those are your evidence. Okay? Those are the evidence. That's what telling you what is in your water. Okay? So, now you see all the evidence. Now you see what I presented to you. And now, I am going to tell you, or I'm going to show you how to remove it. Remember this and remember this video. UV light is what they tried to kill the bacteria in here. But it's trapped because it's actually a low form of radiation. In my channel, I will teach you a lot about the high radiation and the low radiation. And I always said that there's a line in the middle. Same thing with everything in this lifetime. You live, let's say this is you, and there's a line in the center. You live, you grow older, you die, you decay. Well, UV light and everything else in this lifetime is the same way. It lives, which means it fuses, and then gradually it grows weaker and weaker, and it dies in the center. But then it splits into decay. So you are over here. You don't want any of those because those are decay radiation. And decay radiation, you cannot remove them. It's very hard to remove them. But, and I said but, in water you can, because it takes a while. What you do is you leave it just a third here, and eventually it will leave. I talk about it in one of my videos up here, how to actually do this. And it's very easy. You have to know where your water comes from. And it's very important to know where your water comes from. Please remember that, okay? You have to learn where your water comes from and what they do to it. In this case, UV lights, including the one that I told you earlier about we go to Walmart and get them. And yes, they put UV light on them. The next time you go to Walmart, look at the machine, and it'll say right there the UV light is right there. I wish there's a way that you can actually turn that off, but because they're afraid of bacteria harming us, they put UV light in, and UV light is actually more harmful than the bacteria. The bacteria your body will fight. UV light your body cannot fight because it goes into and it's absorbed into your thyroid gland. Remember, your thyroid gland is the most important gland in your body. It regulates everything. It does everything, including the temperature of your body as well. It distributes it. It takes it. It absorbs it. And it actually distributes to your heart. Every cells in your body rely on thyroid gland. Your thyroid gland is very important. And I will say it again and again and again. And I will actually defend that. is it very important. Because when you swallow, let's say this is your throat, when you swallow, what does water do? The first thing is it's gonna pass through your thyroid gland. It absorbs it, and that's what's gonna pass through. Easy as that. Easy and simple as that. And that's why I said you have to learn where your water comes from. But, and I said but, second step that you have to learn how to remove that by observing. I talk about this. And look at this. Even this little thing. Look at that. You can actually see UV or radiation. Look. Even this little tiny bottle you can see. And look at it. There's not that much water in there. There's more there. There's not that much water in there. And you can still see how much radiation's in there. That tells you alone. And no, there are no videos like this in the world. Remember that. Because I've learned an important lesson about UV light and what is actually really harmful to us. Now, because of that, I've learned how to remove it. For Poland Spring, it takes about an average, about 2 days to get rid of that. This, it takes an average of 1 day, about 24 hours. So you have to know, remember, you have to know where it came from. And then you go and research and see what they do to the water. Like Poland Spring, they actually they actually get this from wells water. And then they go into a treatment, which they filtering it out, and then they put UV light on it to kill the bacteria. So, you actually have to do something like this right here before you can actually drink it. This the water, the same way. This the water, it takes me about close to 2 days. An average 2 days. I like to leave it 3 days, and then I put it in my Faraday cage. I actually have that video. I'll link it right up here too. When I get a chance, I'll link everything right up here. That is also as well. So remember this, okay? Remember, you have to know where your water comes from. And then you experiment. Never fill up the jar that full. What you do is you get a little tiny jar like this. Okay? You fill it up to third only. Look at it. It's only third. Okay? Then you watch up here. You watch how the radiation. Let's say the second days. Let's say you did it the second day. You squish it all up. You leave that alone. Okay? And you want to stir it like this. Okay? And you leave it alone. For another 24 hours, you will see less radiation. Then, squish it again another 24 hours. You will be able to see it again. If it's really less and there's nothing left, that means it's all gone. So that means, let's say if you put that water in, and when you did that step, it took 3 days. That means you know it's going to take you 3 days. And remember, drink them in glass only. Okay? Glass or porcelain. Start drinking your water in glass and porcelain, and you will see what happened to your body. Okay? Then, if you have to go somewhere, you have to protect it with tin foil. Like making a Faraday cage for it. Yep. Or put them in like a metal container or whatever, like a little lunch box or whatever. So that's why your thyroid gland. What are we doing all this for? We're doing this for all the thyroid glands. That's all it is, okay? Please remember to make your thyroid gland healthy. So when you drink it, it doesn't say, wait a minute, I need more water, I'm more thirsty after drinking it. And like I stated, and I'll state it one more time before I go, there is no video in the world to tell you what is actually in the water that actually making people more thirstier than after drinking water. Can you imagine? There is no video. 7-something billion people in the world do not know this. And all it is UV light. UV light is actually more harmful, either artificial or the sun. The sun is actually better than the artificial one. Believe it or not, because the sun is actually ionizing The fake UV light is actually non-ionizing. Non-ionizing takes longer, believe it or not. If you have this in the sun, you can probably get it in 24 hours. But if you do it with conventional UV light, it takes longer. Like this one, I don't want to really say its name, you can see it. It takes about 3 days, almost 3 days for this. It takes about 1 day to 2 days for this. Depends. And remember too, when it's in the store, it's actually absorbing lights. This light too, up here too. So, believe it or not, you have to keep your water in the dark. So light cannot go through it. And like I said, and I'll say it before I go, what are we doing this for? We're doing this to protect our thyroid gland. And remember this. Once you start doing this, once you start doing all this stuff, you no longer feel that you are thirsty. Because it gave you false alert from your thyroid gland. And what is it? UV light, radiation. Radiation is actually make you more thirsty. That's it. That's it right there. Okay. And now you got your answer. And I am the first person in the world to actually explain this. Other than that, that's about it on this video. And I hope you enjoyed the video. But I hope that you learned something from this video. Because it is very important. As you grow older and older and older, you will face this problem. And if you are sensitive, like smells and tastes and all that stuff, you will face this problem. And then people say, ha, 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 whatever, because they don't understand it. Now you understand it. Other than that, that's about it on this video. And I will see you in the next video.